What is up, my friends on the internet? Back at it with another video, and back at it talking about the Triumph Bobber. I had the old one, I had the new one. In this video, we're gonna talk about which one is better. Let's get on into it. This is my 2017 Triumph Bonneville Bobber. And just like all of the people in this cemetery, it is gone, but definitely not forgotten. And this is my 2023 Triumph Bonneville Bobber. As far as I currently know, I am the only motovlogger to buy both versions of the bike and live with them for a while. I may be wrong on that. If so, drop the other channel names below. I would love to check them out. But as it stands, I feel like I'm a really good resource for the differences between these two bikes in a day-to-day life practical sense. Many things changed about the Bobber when it came to the second generation, some good, some potentially bad. In this video, I want to talk to you about those things, and then ultimately we'll decide, were the upgrades actually worth it? Or was the old bike just simply better? I post a lot of videos on the Triumph Bonneville Bobber, and I can say that the comments I get are a mixed batch. Half of you are saying that Triumph fixed everything that was wrong with the Bobber and now the bike is superior, while others of you are saying Triumph ruined the bike completely and they should have never changed anything about it. I honestly fall somewhere in the middle, so let's get into the specifics. First, we'll get into the most controversial change. This is the one that I get the most comments about, and it is the front wheel. As you can see in the image I'm rolling on the screen, the old Triumph Bonneville Bobber front wheel was taller and thinner, and it ultimately led to the bike handling a lot better. I can honestly say, hand on heart, that bike did handle better than this one because of that front wheel. It just turned in a little easier. It made kind of attacking the turns a lot more simple, considering the fact that the bike isn't really for attacking the turns though. I don't know that really matters. On the other hand though, from an aesthetics perspective, I think this bike looks better with the new front wheel. It is fatter, it's wider, it's meaner. I think the front and rear wheels matching this well just looks really good to me. I prefer this setup for looks, while I prefer the other setup for handling, so I guess I fall right in the middle. You let me know down below which one you like more though. But honestly, when it comes to the list of things that Triumph may have made worse, I think that's where it ends for me. Everything else really seems like a massive upgrade. I'm gonna go through some things and you let me know what you think. Dual disc brakes up front by Brembo. The new front end does have this beefier wheel, but it also has way beefier brakes with more high-end componentry. These brakes are so much better than the ones on the old version of the bike. Some may not like the look of the dual disc and say that the bike is worse for having them, but the safety and just the overall bite you get from this brake setup is worth it for me. I would say that is a huge upgrade. The ones currently on my bike are aftermarket, but this bike also got full LEDs from the factory. The incandescent bulbs on the old bike just weren't great. Yes, you could argue that the incandescent bulbs look more authentic, the yellow color they give off, but you can't really fight progress. And for me, it is definitely a function over form situation. I love the brightness of the LEDs. It just adds so much safety, just like those dual disc brakes I just mentioned. Next up is the tech upgrade. This model comes from the factory with cruise control, and while I don't use cruise control a lot, I can honestly say that having it on a bike when you're on the highway just going straight for a long period of time makes all the difference. Being able to relax your wrist a bit is so nice. Which rolls me into the next upgrade, and my favorite one of all, which is the new gas tank. The gas tank on the other bike, again, you could argue it looked better being really slim, but it just made the bike almost close to unusable for me. Getting double digits worth of range just didn't work for me. This one allowing me to get a little bit over 100 miles of range before I stop just makes the bike so much more usable. And you combine that with the new cruise control, and I think you have a proper option for potentially touring on this bike. Of course, people will say, they often say in the comments, this bike isn't for touring, so why have things that make it for touring? And I always answer that the same way. Yes, it would be great to have your around town bike and your touring bike and your dirt bike or whatever, right? But for some of us, for most of us, we can only afford one bike, so having a bike that can do a little bit of everything is really nice. I can get this down a gravel road just okay, I can get this around town really well, and now with extended range and cruise control and lights that make it safe in the dark, I can take it on a tour if I really wanted to. I will agree that the old gas tank and the whole look of the bike in general did look nice, kind of stripped back and thin. It kind of gave me San Francisco chopper feels, But this one gives me true down and dirty bobber feels. It is fat, it is low, and as a person who rides 7 days a week, having a gas tank that gives me legitimate range is super nice. Having to stop every couple days to get gas on that old bike got real annoying, real old, real quick. As a person who was in the stance car scene for a long time, I can totally understand why somebody would want to make a form over function decision. Sometimes that's all it takes for you to be happy, is the thing looking really cool, and you don't care how it handles, you don't care about ride quality, you don't care about any of that, right? But when it comes down to using a motorcycle for your actual needs, for getting places, for touring, for going on rides with your friends, I need that thing to be more usable. And I can say that after living with both, this new bike makes that so much easier. It's just overall more comfortable because of the extra air in the balloon tires. You feel less shock through the handlebars. You got range that's actually really usable. You don't have to worry about stopping multiple times on a ride. And if we're being honest, this new gas tank is still really small by modern standards, but it's actually usable by modern standards. So it's a win for me. But there are a few things that I think they should have changed on the bike and still didn't. If there is a version 3, things that I would like to see changed. And it's only a couple things, but let's jump into those now. So like I said, there's only a couple things, and I really do have to dig deep to think of these, but just small annoyances that I do want to mention. One is this key placement. The key placement is super cool when you put the key in. I really like that it's there as far as aesthetics go. It makes the bike feel older. But the fact that if you want to use the headset, you have to take that key out and then put it in over here to lock the headset, it's just a little bit of a chore that would be avoidable if they moved the ignition to the headset like all other modern bikes. Next up is a thing that you could solve by the aftermarket, but it's the lack of passenger accommodations. Granted, this bike is a stripped back, bare-boned, single-rider bike for cruising around, but some passenger accommodations, even if not great ones, would be awesome. I would like to see some sort of little floating pillion pad option from the factory. It definitely doesn't have to be on the stock bike, but if there were a factory option for putting on a seat and passenger pegs, I think that would be really great. There's a lot of aftermarket options, but you never really know how reliable they are, and I don't think I want to throw a gamble on the safety of my passenger, so seeing a branded Triumph part would be really nice, even if it wasn't super comfortable, just having an option. Because again, a lot of people only can afford one bike, and they might ride alone 99% of the time, but that 1% where they want to pick up a friend who's broken down or take someone on a date, it'd be really good to have that as an option. It would also be great just as a place to mount things. On my last Triumph Bobber, I did put that rear rack on it, but it'd be cool to have a seat that I could use for passengers and strap things to if I needed to. So to wrap this video up, I think all of the changes were in an attempt to make this bike function better, to make it fit modern expectations for a motorcycle, because the old bike wasn't necessarily a massive sales success. People bought it, but not in the huge volumes that you would see of the more standard bikes like the Speed Twin and the like. So I think this is an attempt to bring it up there, to make it more upscale, to kind of warrant the price tag that these bikes command, because they are not cheap bikes. So you want your kind of expensive bike to be feature laden, and I think they did that. And at the expense of that, they did give up maybe a little bit of aesthetic preference, but aesthetics are subjective. Some people do like this more. Some people like the old one more, but nobody can realistically argue that having better lights and better brakes is a bad thing, right? Obviously, you can argue anything, right? There's gonna be someone in the comments saying, no, I preferred having worse brakes. It felt more real, but that's not real. So I think these changes honestly saved the Bobber. They made it more livable and therefore more sellable. There have been several Triumph models that have gone away because they just were hard to live with. I'm thinking the Thruxton specifically. That bike was really cool, right? It looked super cool. It was fun to ride around, but in the grand scheme of things, it was kind of expensive, kind of slow for a sporty bike, and really uncomfortable. So people didn't keep them a long time. They ended up back on the secondhand market for cheap, and now Triumph discontinued them. And I think making the changes that they made to the Bobber saved it from that same fate. But that's it for this one. If you have any opinions on this, please comment down below so we can have discussions about it. I really like this channel to be a place where we have friendly conversations in the comment section about what we think of all these things. So drop your comment below. If you like this one, hit thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. And I would be remiss not to mention my other platforms. I do have a Patreon now. It's $5 a month, and there's a bunch of behind the scenes and extra videos there. There will be a link in the bio. And then, of course, you can follow me on Instagram. I post there pretty regularly. And I don't really have a big following there, but I'd like that following to be bigger. So if you're on Instagram, hop on there, give me a follow. I'd appreciate it. I will see you on the next one. Peace.